Hello everybody and welcome back to our brand new episode of F125 Career Mode on the channel. I hope you're all having a great day. Today we take on round 2 of the season and it's going to be a bit of a lengthy one. It's the Chinese Grand Prix, which means we are sprint racing this weekend, unfortunately. But you know what? As much as I hate sprints, they have been some of the most action-packed form of races in this career mode. So maybe there is something to look forward to in terms of the sprint weekend, and we come straight through into the action. You guys know when we have a sprint weekend, I like to kind of speed things up just because, I mean, in the recording process, doing a sprint adds an extra hour to the episode, so that's kind of my main hatred towards sprints, is how much longer it takes to do them. But we come through into SQ1, skipping practice. I can confirm practice, it was in the dry, it went okay, but here we are in SQ1 in the rain, and this is my first experience in career mode with the new update that changed some AI stuff. Basically, like, their deceleration and acceleration has been tuned on, and their rain pace as well has been something that's been adjusted. So they're supposed to be, or the player's supposed to be more competitive against the AI in the rain, and I immediately would discover that I in fact had more pace in the rain. But I did some research because something wasn't quite adding up, at least in my opinion. And my research was, when you're in a qualifying session, and you're going to watch right here, as I exit the final turn, as I come down the front straightaway, we're going to go top of the board. We just went P1 in a midfield car. So I was immediately suspicious. I did see my teammate at Jackson go P9, but look at the gaps. As you see, Norris is actually out, and so is Antonelli and Sonoda. Very big names out there in Q1. But what I would discover, I did some research and did some testing off camera, and I don't know if it's a bug with the new update or what in the world it might have been, but at least in the wet conditions, when you simulate the session in qualifying, the AI go significantly slower than what they would go if you don't simulate and you make your lap at the same time as the AI. So that's something to keep in mind, and I didn't have a clue until we come through here into Q2, and I realized I'm going super quick again because I'm making my lap after everybody's already made theirs, and I simulated up to this point. So I cross the line, I go P1 again. My teammate of Aiden Jackson's out. Russell goes quicker than me because he started his lap after I started mine. That's when I started to get suspicious. Jackson out in Q2, unfortunately, as well as a Ferrari recent winner there of Lewis Hamilton. So we come into SQ3, and you're going to notice immediately, so I made my lap here in SQ3 at the same time as everybody else. So now no one else's lap is getting simulated, and you're about to see the difference that it makes here in these wet conditions. I can confirm that it doesn't change anything in dry. This seems to be a wet weather issue and a really unfortunate issue, but as we come through out of the final couple of corners, one more left-hander to go, and we'll have this lap completed here in SQ3. I still think we've got a pretty decent competitive lap nonetheless. I don't think it's going to be bottom of the top 10, and to the line, it's P3 for the moment, and drops down to 4th due to Piastri, and as we come through to complete the session, we would drop to P7, but the times look a lot more fair. The AI immediately find a pace increase, so interesting. I hope you guys learned something here today from that as we jump straight through to the end of the formation lap here in the sprint. We're ready to go racing, and it's going to be dry for the rest of this weekend, so that was the only wet weather, of course, experience we get for the weekend, and it wasn't good because it seems like there's a bug when you simulate a qualifying session. But we at least know that for future weekends, if necessary. I won't, of course, simulate time. I'll try to go make a lap early when most of the cars are on the racetrack to make it fair. Nonetheless, 10 laps of racing to kick off the weekend here from the sprint on Saturday afternoon. The Chinese Grand Prix sprint is underway, and it's a bit of a decent start, not incredible, but not bad either. Here comes the Audi of Bortoleto. Definitely a really good start to the season for Audi in terms of pace. We see, actually, I get a warning for contact with Bortoleto, but Bortoleto and Hulkenberg both looking good. Of course, they still have the Kick Sauber name in the game. I don't know how to mod that out and change it to Audi. Of course, if this was F123 when EA wasn't stupid and didn't have some extreme limitations on the modding of the game, that wouldn't be an issue. We could change it to Audi, but yeah, I mean, EA, of course, ruined that side of the game as we continue to see some fights. How about Max Verstappen going at it here with Oscar Piastri now through the S's. Now, of course, Lando Norris starting further down the grid. He's got some work to do. These two continue side by side. Great action here in the opening lap of the sprint here from this Chinese Grand Prix weekend. Piastri gets the job done on Verstappen. Now as I'm going to dive up the inside of Verstappen's teammate right there, of course, Lance Stroll, actually, putting together a pretty decent run, and we enter the top 5. And I don't really know if we've got necessarily a top 5 car, but we just benefited from that whole situation in qualifying. I feel like, honestly, on pace, we might be more like a 10th place car or so, but we're going to take as much advantage, of course, as possible here today. As you can see behind us, Colapinto trying to work his way forward as well, and Franco Colapinto had a decent final half of a race in Australia. We had, of course, had a safety car that kind of brought everybody back close together, and Colapinto was one of the drivers that benefited from that as well. On the back of George Russell, Carlos Sainz is up here in the mix. Williams is looking pretty good this weekend as well, with Sainz and Albon as well, and Sainz is trying to fight, and just the Williams team, of course, with that win they picked up in the Dutch Grand Prix last season, they're really carrying some momentum here into season 2, and they're looking pretty competitive right off the bat as we come through to lap 3 at this point now, and just kind of settled in. Actually, I completely forgot to show it. I got passed by Colapinto on the DRS straight, so he would get through on me as he was continuing to move forward. So I'm dropping down now to the 6th position, and as well behind me, Bortoletto showing some good pace. Leclerc, he's been working his way forward now, as actually we've got some yellows behind us, and it's going to be, it's Lewis Hamilton, your Australian Grand Prix winner. Hamilton is going to be out of the sprint, and from, well, 100 to 0, just like that, he wins the round opening season race, of course, in Australia. Now he's out in the sprint. He's going to be starting the Grand Prix no matter what from the back, and that's going to make his weekend a lot more difficult now. Not what Hamilton wanted to see after, of course, the first season with Ferrari. He could never find the top step of the podium. It was a grind. Of course, Ferrari with 2 wins overall last season. They were both from Leclerc. Back-to-back races, of course, in Monza and Azerbaijan. And now, not exactly what Hamilton wants, but fortunately for him, it's just a sprint. We got more yellows, and this time it's the leader. It's Piastri who is driven away from everybody. Piastri's got a mechanical failure, and now here comes Carlos Sainz to the lead over Max Verstappen in the Aston Martin. Verstappen, his first race with Aston Martin didn't quite go exactly how he wanted in Australia on the 2-stop strategy. He's still got a respectable result, but not on the podium, but he is in position to fight for a win here in the sprint as we come through to the about halfway point of this 10-lap sprint. And the action again is here. There's always action in these sprints. As for myself, I don't really have enough pace to do much else than where I'm running right now, and we've got Charles Leclerc coming as well, and he might have something to say before this sprint comes to a conclusion as we continue to try and defend over him. But Colapinto, Russell, they're just fast enough to stay in front of me, and on the straight line they've got just enough speed, so I just don't have a whole lot at this point in time. And as we go for a big slide, here comes Leclerc to pounce on it there. A bit of contact actually with the Monegasque, and he moves up to P5. That Ferrari is showing good pace. Outside of Hamilton's issue, that Ferrari's got some serious speed. We saw it in Australia. Of course, it was all McLaren in the first 3 quarters of that Grand Prix until the safety car, but Hamilton and Ferrari pounced when it counted on that restart, and we of course saw Hamilton have enough pace to keep Lando Norris even out of the DRS range. So we know that Ferrari's got some speed, and Leclerc is now up into that top 5, of course, so definitely keep an eye on him. How about Franco Colapinto? He's moved up to P3 behind Carlos Sainz as Max Verstappen has gotten the lead at this point of the sprint, and if you look on the track map, he's driving away. Max Verstappen's in complete control of this sprint here now, and this off-season bold switch that a lot of people questioned. Verstappen going to Aston Martin, leaving Red Bull after winning his 5th consecutive world title. He said, like I said already, he kind of felt like he had accomplished everything he needed to. He wanted a new challenge, and he has certainly gotten it now as they continue to fight up there in front of us, and Carlos Sainz is dropping backwards now. He has lost second to Franco Colapinto. I have been a big Franco Colapinto doubter in real life and in the game with Red Bull signing him up, but he is now up into P2, just completely proving me wrong here today in the sprint now, of course. But the main thing is the Grand Prix. You got to show up in the Grand Prix, really, to make a name for yourself, as it now Sainz maintains P3 over George Russell to the final lap here of the sprint in this Chinese Grand Prix weekend, and it has been a pretty hectic start to the weekend, and you have to wonder what is the Grand Prix going to showcase as well, as we are trying to just hang on to the DRS. I've got nothing for these guys. I just don't have the pace, so I am only staying in this range because I'm just good enough to barely hang on to the DRS, and that's the only thing keeping my name in it. But Max Verstappen, he's going to round the final turn. It's not a Grand Prix win, but it is going to be a sprint win here. First time to the top step with Aston Martin, but not celebrating a full Grand Prix win, of course, there. Colapinto P2, how about that? Carlos Sainz P3, Russell 4th, 5th to Leclerc, myself coming through to cross the line for P6. So we score a few points ourselves. Of course, top 8 all score points. We scored 3 right there. So nothing to hang our heads low about, but there is some concerns for me, and that's simply because there's clearly not the pace we want in this car. Like Australia, we had a bad qualifying effort, and then we worked our way through the field. I don't think we have that capability in the car here this weekend, so we need to really hope we can qualify good in the dry. Jackson ends up P9. Bortoletto for Audi scores a point. Hamilton and Piastri at the bottom of the grid. The last runner, though, one of the Rookie of the Year contenders of Paul Aaron. We come through into Q1, and dry conditions, and overall felt like it was a pretty decent lap. And as we come through into the final turn, Tsunoda right now down in 20th position. We're going to get the DRS open and cross the stripe. Here in Q1 we go P10, which I thought originally would be enough, but I was wrong. No, we didn't have the speed again. We're out in 17th and 18th for Connor Sport. We're done. We're going to be out in Q1 and having to fight our way forward again on Sunday. As Tsunoda as well out, and Albon and a Williams out in Q1. This was a shocker, and it's a repeat of Australia. We've got work to do again.
It's time again then for Formula One in Shanghai. Northwest of the thriving city of over 24 million people is a circuit that first featured in the championship calendar back in 2004. It played host to Formula One's 1000th Grand Prix back in 2019. We're here in the Yangtze River Delta today, home of the 16 corners that make up the Shanghai International Circuit. 54% of this 3.3-mile lap is taken at full throttle, and we'll be getting up to speeds of around 200 miles per hour with DRS assistance down the back straight before the cars brake into the tight hairpin at turn 14. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Lando Norris will lead us away from pole position, and it's Charles Leclerc in P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Russell, Carlos Sainz, and Stroll, Colapinto, Antonelli, Hülkenberg, and Isaac Hadjar, Aaron, Bortoletto, Ollie Behrman, Doohan, Golden Boy, Jackson, Yuki Tsunoda, and Esteban Ocon, Albon, Gasly, Piastri, and Lewis Hamilton rounds off the grid. And now it's time to head down to the track.
We do gain 2 positions due to grid penalties from Piastri and Hamilton, of course, with their mechanical failures in the sprint. We're going to be starting on mediums, going to hards as we look to rebound again. And I don't know what it is about the qualifying pace of this Connor Sport this season. Obviously, we're not as far up the R&D chart as we would prefer to be compared to the off-season regulation changes, but I don't think we should be qualifying in like 17th and 18th place. So we both move up a couple spots, though, towards the top 15. Yuki Tsunoda there, P17. But it's Norris and Leclerc, your front row, Verstappen 3rd, Russell 4th, Sainz 5th. It's going to be an interesting start nonetheless. But like I said, I mean, certainly just some confusion because this is starting to feel a lot like Australia, where, I mean, the Connor Sport was really slow in qualifying. It's not just a me problem. I mean, look at my teammate. He's been right there with us. So, and of course, we know that how the race went in Australia was great. I mean, we were carving our way through traffic, and we got a great top 10 effort. So I'm curious to see if that's going to be a repeat right here in the Grand Prix. Hopefully it is, because I would like to, of course, score points, but we're about to find out because we're pulling up to the grid and we are ready to go. Lights out racing here, lining up behind one of the fellow yellow and black liveries on the grid there with the Haas car in front of us. That's Ollie Behrman, his second season, just like myself and my teammate of Aiden Jackson. Same for Jack Doohan as well there on the right front. We're racing here from the Chinese Grand Prix, and it's a much better start compared to the sprint. We launch off with the grip. We make a 3 wide with Bortoletto now and dive up the inside of several drivers, including you've got Hadjar right there in front of us in Hulkenberg. We've got Paul Aaron to our left side, and Leclerc has gotten the lead in turn 1 over Lando Norris. Verstappen hangs on to third over George Russell, strolls up there in the conversation as well, as he looks to have a strong effort all season long to try and support Verstappen, who just won that sprint on Saturday. Now as I myself am going up the inside of one of the V-Carb drivers now, and overall a good start there. We've got Aaron behind us, and we've got still Isaac Hadjar in front of us. If I remember correctly, I think Isaac Hadjar was the only driver that didn't score a point in the first season of this career mode, and here he is currently in position to score points as we are already up to P11. So a brilliant opening lap, and now we go to the outside of Hadjar. And how about Kimi Antonelli finally up here in the top 10? The question is, can he maintain that? He's struggling right there on the nose of Hadjar. So many drivers right here, all in their second seasons in Formula One, and now we're gonna go maybe look to the right side, 3 wide down the long DRS straightaway here with Isaac Hadjar and Antonelli, but I just didn't have the straight line speed, so they both get in front of me, and now I've got Paul Aaron back to my left side. As we come into the hairpin, we re-clear Aaron. We'll stay in front of him as Antonelli and Hadjar continue to fight. Leclerc leads the opening lap of the Chinese Grand Prix. Hadjar backs out a really awkward exit for him. That brings me alongside, but look at the V-Carb, just got a little bit more speed down this front straightaway to stay ahead on the run into turn number 1. So we settle in currently to P11 as we've got, of course, well over 20 laps of racing here tonight, or today, 28 laps, of course, in total. Gives us plenty of time to be patient and just be calculated here. As Isaac Hadjar down the DRS long back straightaway actually passes Kimi Antonelli, so he moves up into P9 as Antonelli drops down into the 10th position. Antonelli, there's a lot of pressure on him this season. Toto Wolff, of course, advocated to keep him on the team even after a disastrous last half of a rookie season, and he has to show up. He has to put in the numbers, and the pressure is even higher for him than it was in his rookie season, of course, now. So he has to perform, and he has to perform now, as I feel like very much could be in the conversation to replace him myself if he doesn't step up. So it's going to be interesting as Hadjar has gained another spot over the Audi of Nico Hulkenberg now, as here we go, trying to put a little bit of pressure right there on Antonelli. Can't quite pounce on it, but Hulkenberg, he's on the softs in that Audi, and it just doesn't seem to be firing off like you would prefer. We're already on lap 5, and it seems like those softs are fading, because now down the long straightaway, here comes Antonelli to make the pass into the hairpin. Easy pass there, and now we as well are going to have a chance. Now Hulkenberg defends right. I say, okay, I'll go around the outside, take the long way around of the German, and we'll take the position there up into the top 10 finally there. And once again, it's a repeat of Australia. No pace in qualifying for this car, but once we hit the Grand Prix, we are absolutely flying and have put ourselves into the top 10 early on. Now Piastri and Hamilton, they are struggling in traffic right now. Another note, Pierre Gasly picked up damage on the opening lap. He had to come into the pits to replace his front wing. As for us, we are now just kind of settled in here behind Antonelli and Hadjar, and honestly I feel like this is kind of where my car is on pace, so if we can do anything better, that would be absolutely fantastic. And I think one of the things that we could maybe benefit from here today is the tire wear and tire management, as we got yellows, and that's an Aston Martin. Stroll, he's off the track. There's a free position right there. Limiting mistakes is going to help us gain spots too, apparently, because fellow Canadian off the racetrack. Replay on board, loses it all on his lonesome into the barrier. Hard to tell if he maybe picked up damage on that one. My guess is he did, but we'll see if he pits at the end of this lap here now, as we are now still very much in DRS range of Antonelli, but I just don't think I really got enough to actually get to him. He's also got DRS from Isaac Hadjar. Now is Yuki Tsunoda, tire puncture on the left rear, goes for a little wild spin, around he goes, and now he's gonna have to get it recollected. No safety car. You can see the right front's not even connected with the ground, and you can see the moment the tire goes and around off the circuit. Wow, and just like that, in a matter of one lap, we've got a couple of incidents there. Stroll and Tsunoda both. Now, I can confirm, as for Lance Stroll, He did, in fact, have wing damage, so he is pitting now for a new front wing. As for myself, we are in a little bit of a battle here with Kimi Antonelli, trying to go the long way around. And like I said, I think this is where we're going to benefit here is tire management, because as we come through to the next lap, we're now making a move on Isaac Hadjar with the DRS and up the inside, using the curb, a little bit of a slip and slide there out of the rear of the car, but nonetheless, we'll clear him. And just like that, we're moving. Carlos Sainz, he's struggling on the hards now as we've got yellows again is Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton with an engine failure. The same driver that lost an engine in the sprint loses it in the Grand Prix. How about that for bad luck for Lewis Hamilton? Now to lap 11. Everything's kicking off at this point as we'll pass Carlos Sainz. His hard tires are just not working right now, and suddenly we found ourselves in P6. I mean, tire management has worked perfectly, because look at this. By the time we come to lap 13, just a few laps later, we have increased our gap by over 2 seconds to Hadjar, who's also gotten past Carlos Sainz. Now, there is some concern putting on the hards, because it looks like Sainz is just not able to go on the hards, or maybe he's just dealing with a car issue. Nonetheless, as we come to the end of lap 13, we're going to pit, and we're going to put those hards on no matter what, because that's what we have to do. And yeah, I mean, that's going to be, of course, the key to getting us to the end of this Grand Prix comfortably. And overall, I mean, I did not see us in P6 at this point in time, and there's still some things that could happen before this Grand Prix comes to an end. And of course, we've got a couple quicker cars behind us. Stroll, Hamilton, that's out of the Grand Prix. Of course, he started in the back. Piastri's another one that started in the back due to his mechanical issue in the sprint, so we know he's going to be quicker than us, trying to, of course, run us down. So we know we're probably, say P6, we should be like 9th or 10th if this was a normal race, but we're not seeing a normal Grand Prix. I mean, we've got a lot of chaos and just issues kind of developing for drivers around us, and fortunately just saving our tires and being mistake-free is making a big difference right now, and we just got to keep doing that for the final half of this race. And how about Franco Colapinto again, doing really good in his Red Bull, currently P7, as the pit cycle is pretty well run its course. We are still running down some drivers, so Stroll's actually on a soft tire. He put on a soft after he pitted, so he's going to have to pit again. Jack Doohan, he pitted a little bit earlier for hards, so this should be a pretty easy pass, and this would put us into P7 once we complete this overtake here. We're now with the DRS, he goes pretty defensive at the end of the long back straightaway here into the hairpin, but we'll go around the outside nonetheless, say thank you very much, and up into P7 we go. Alex Albon's into the pits right now, and he's gone like a good 3 extra laps pretty well than myself, so we should be able to undercut him, and I can confirm, get in front of the Williams. So, sorry, not even an undercut, because he was not in front of us to begin with, but we pass him, and we move up into P6, and I believe that's as far as we're going to get, because I don't think anyone in front of us is going to have to pit. So this is, where we're going to find ourselves here now, and we've got a very comfortable gap to everybody behind us as we got more problems. It's Piastri. It's Piastri with a mechanical failure, and the 2 drivers in the sprint that had issues and failures are the same 2 drivers in the Grand Prix that find themselves out due to failures. Is that something bugged with the game, or is that just the biggest coincidence that we've ever seen in Formula One? I don't know. I'm because EA's involvement, I'm going to say that's I'm going to lean towards a bug, but I have nothing to back that up, but that just seems extremely coincidental for that to happen. As for myself, we're still P6, and Charles Leclerc, we've had no time to even pay attention to the race. Charles Leclerc is comfortably out in front over Max Verstappen, who's in P2. Lando Norris in 3rd, and we got 4th and 5th there just in front of us. Yuki Tsunoda, who's come out a lap down. Of course, he had to trickle around the track with a tire down after that spin. It's been a disastrous day. He's got blue flags now, so he, of course, has to move over. Let me go. Say thank you very much there. Of course, not a position that we gained, but Tsunoda is going to come back at us here. And we are running down his teammate of Franco Colapinto, and this is directly affecting my progress made. And then again, he moves out of the way with the blue flags on lap 21. And now I'm starting to get a little bit annoyed, because my progress to Colapinto is being halted, and I'm trying to stay ahead of Tsunoda, but he's in a Red Bull, of course, with the brand new Ford powertrain, and they've got a quicker car than I do overall, especially in a straight line. So on the long back straightaway again, I can't drive away from him. He's also on fresher tires, and he's going to pass me again. I mean, he's making it really awkward, because he's fighting me side by side, and he's directly affecting my opportunity to run down, of course, his new teammate of Franco Colapinto. And I feel like this is almost like a direct kind of race, kind of, manipulation even, because on the front straightaway here comes back at us up the inside into turn number 1. So, and he's not driving away from me. He's able to run me down, but he's not able to drive away. And again, he's going to move over here later on lap 23. And I kind of swerve at him saying like, dude, like you're screwing me over. Look at the gap to Colapinto over 4 seconds now. And again, he passes me. So, I mean, we can't get ourselves caught up in this, and I get a little bit too aggressive there, kind of getting frustrated and drive into the back of him and slightly damage the front wing. And again, lap 24, Tsunoda's going to do the exact same thing. You guys are seeing this, right? I mean, he's completely manipulating the race here for us. You hear my comments on the radio. I'm not very happy because, again, he passes us, and I give up. I said, this is completely ruining my race. And I'm in no man's land. I've got no one around me, and somehow I find myself in some kind of drama. So I decide to intentionally lift off here and allow Tsunoda to just get far enough ahead to get out of the whole blue flag situation, and then I would speed up again. And immediately I would start running down Colapinto, and Tsunoda would also start driving away. And with just 3 laps to go, I'm pretty frustrated because I think we had done a really good job on tire management, and I think we were going to catch Colapinto. I really do think that would have happened, and probably by the final lap, which we start right now. So that kind of ruined our chances, of course, of a top 5. And right now it's Leclerc comfortably out in front of Max Verstappen, not even close, and Norris down there in P3. And I tell you what, of course, it was McLaren that was the fastest in Australia, but it was Ferrari that won. It was Ferrari that's fastest today. Aston Martin was the ones that showed up with Verstappen in the sprint. We are seeing Season 2 a complete different vibe. Instead of one dominant team in the first part of the season, we are seeing multiple teams with chances to win, and Ferrari still takes the first 2 races. Hamilton wins race 1 in Australia. Leclerc takes race 2 here in the Chinese Grand Prix. Verstappen is going to be P2, the first official podium for his move over to Aston Martin, and of course it's going to be Norris P3. 3 different teams on the podium, and I think we are in for one heck of a season. Ferrari's already matched their win count from last season total, and of course they've got both of their drivers now on the top step of the podium. We cross the line for a great result again in P6, but still not very happy with, of course, what happened there with Yuki Tsunoda. I mean, that was a good one, guys, but I mean, there needs to be some investigation into Red Bull there. I mean, that was blatant race manipulation to make sure I couldn't run down Colapinto. I mean, it needs to be looked at. What are your guys' thoughts? Is that something that needs to be investigated, or am I just a little baby that's whining about that? I mean, I think it could go either way. But not happy, and I'm sure we'll hear more about that from the FIA's ruling in the next episode. But Leclerc gets to celebrate his first win of 2026, and honestly, seeing that race, it really gets me excited for the rest of the season, because it's evident we don't have a clear runaway team. In the first half of last season, it was just Red Bull, Verstappen specifically. And of course, McLaren came on pretty strong at the end, and it kind of went back and forth between them and Red Bull. But now it's Ferrari. Red Bull's got speed. Aston Martin's got speed. McLaren's got obvious speed. There's 4 teams right there. And I think Connor Sport has the ability to get up here if we can make some upgrades. And Aiden Jackson only ends up P12, unfortunately. But we find ourselves 6th in the standings. I mean, after our poor qualifying efforts, we've had some great races. And of course, some benefits of drivers having issues that have allowed us to score more points than we should have. We need to keep just being smooth and taking advantage, because this is what happens. You get the points you need and you put together a great season. So I don't think we're a 6th place car right now, but I think I'm a 6th place driver, and I think we're making a big difference there on that front as well. That's going to do it for me. I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great day.